ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to this week's episode of Critically Casual. I'm Streetcuffs, or Steven. This is Dev, or Dorkydev, whichever you prefer. And, this is Critically Casual, live on Twitch at 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm just kidding. Hi, everybody.
Jesus Christ, the fuck was this intro?
Just long and excessive and, probably unneeded to begin with. Kind of like some of the movies.
Actually, I wouldn't call any of them long.
But excessive and unneeded?
Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, how you doing today, Dev? Other than, just life.
Like watching these two movies. Yeah, I'm all right.
Okay, that's good. Nice.
As good as it can be.
All right, I'm gonna be honest with you. This will probably be short, only because just before we started this, did you see the Snapchat I sent you with the giant cake I had yesterday?
Yeah.
I had a very hefty slice of it before the show started, so I might go into chocolate sweet food coma mode and
Fair enough. I'm still making the Instagram post because I can't figure out other than saying Shriekuff and Dev take on Jason with Friday the 13th part 7 or part VII and Jason X.
Mm-hmm. Which I gotta say, I'm actually kind of disappointed with myself because I was saying the name of the movie correctly the whole time, but I wasn't saying the correct number. So I wanted to watch Jason Takes Manhattan, which is part 8, not part 7. So we watched part 7, which part 7 is The New Blood, which it's okay. It's not the terrible movie that I wanted us to see, but it's terrible enough, I guess.
I wouldn't even call it that terrible.
Exactly. That's the worst part.
Listen, man, you've put me through hell recently. All right,
it's only gonna get worse. Or is it?
You made me watch Kick-Ass, which was better left to memory.
Mm-hmm.
Monster Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jason X, Steven.
Jason X is like a guilty pleasure of mine.
Why?
Because it's so bad, it's funny.
I can't even say that.
All right, so enough talk. Let's get into actually talking about the show. This week, I've called it a numbers game. Like I said, because I messed it up. We're doing Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, and then Friday the 13th, Part 10, Jason X. So, yeah.
I thought it was just called Jason X. It is Jason X.
Pretty sure it's Friday the 13th, Part 10.
No, it's just Jason X.
All right.
Doesn't really matter, but I mean, it is Friday the 13th, Part 10, technically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Jason X. But yeah, let's get in here. Let's talk about the first movie. Let's talk about Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. So yeah. What do you have, before we start talking about the stats and statistics and whatnot, I want you to give me your, just a 1-second thought, a 1-sentence thought on what you thought of this movie.
Serviceable.
Serviceable. One word is even better.
Listen, I had that planned. I was going to say this is a serviceable film for a slasher, if that makes sense.
Yeah, with all things considered, this is Jason Voorhees, a man who can't die, versus it's in the story. It says it's in the description of the movie. Years after Tommy Jarvis has chained him underwater, he's freed from his prison by a telekinetic teenager. So all things considered, a man who can't die versus a telekinetic teenager, this movie's not that bad.
Also, compared to the last slashers we watched, which was the Rob Zombie Halloween movies,
which were just really way too serious.
Well, not just that, they were just bad. This one weirdly, so you know how I've had the count that I've been going. I need to go back and get the counts from or see if I can get the counts from the other movies we did the week before that. But I have the I've dubbed it the B to B ratio in a movie. The bodies to boobs ratio, as you will.
Mhm.
So, my theory, and we will continue this theory as it goes on, is
Uh-huh.
that there is a almost parabola on a graph
Okay.
where
Is it a bell curve?
bell curve is up, right?
Yeah.
That's what I mean, a bell curve.
Okay.
Where, well, even then, like, I doubt it's going to be like a full on bell curve either.
I
Like,
mean,
it can't.
parabola is technically right too. It is a curve, but it's like more of a perfect curve rather than a like a summarized curve.
We'll chart this out eventually.
We'll make an infographic. It'll be fine.
So the theory is that you need an X amount of ratio of body to boob, which is body count to boob count, and boobs can't be counted twice, if that makes sense. So, like, if the same tits are shown once, you've seen them. That's the only count they get.
Does one pair of boobs count as two or one?
Shut up. And the body count has to be confirmed kills by the massacreist that we
Okay.
are dealing with. I.e., why in Halloween 2000. No, let's go Halloween 2 because it's quicker. How many bodies was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 bodies to, I believe that is 4. I use tally marks, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So 12 to 4, which is a 3-to-1 ratio when it comes to bodies to boobs.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie was garbage. So my theory that I've begun doing is that the body count has to be higher than that,
Okay.
ratio-wise. Because that movie seems to be leaning too heavily on, like, just sex. While today, I have found, as we will continue on,
There are outliers.
the other side of the theory. And I haven't done the math yet, but it's gonna be dumb.
Yeah. I mean, you also have to. This movie has a special consideration too. There's very clearly one scene of full-on vagina. So, like,
Dude,
yeah.
when was this? 2000 or what?
1988.
88?
Yeah.
My God, how did that get in on screens?
With a budget of how much again?
Well, it was released on May 13th of 1988. Sorry, my brain saw eights and just went
1988.
With a budget of 2.8 million, it made 8 million opening US and gross 19 million.
And just
So it really made its budget back.
it really did. This was a cheaply made movie, which had a lot of sex appeal, or did it? Oh. I mean, it did have a
this
vagina
movie's.
scene.
It did, but that's not what the ratio is about.
No.
Surprisingly, this movie only had 2 sets of boobs, with body count. If I remember correctly, it's 14. But let me count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So that's a 7.5 to 1 ratio. And it's a serviceable movie. So,
Like, I for one, like, it's okay. It's not bad. It's really not bad. It's something I could throw on and be like, all right. Cool.
Yeah, it's serviceable for the slasher genre.
The only thing that, like, the only parts that throw me off are maybe the occasional bad line reading, especially when it comes to the child actor. But, what can you do with the 1980s child actor in a slasher film? Like, there's only so much you could do. The premise is out there for sure, but whatever. The one part I probably found most disappointing, honestly, was Jason's design without his mask. But
It's a little interesting.
yeah. But other than that, like, it's, as you said, serviceable. The movies totally fine. Like,
It's serviceable. It just exists. Like, I can't really like necessarily dock it a ton of points because it's not like it's horribly bad, but I really can't give it a ton of points because it's not like it's really good.
I mean, there's dumb stuff that sets up stupid situations. Like, there's one character who is just a petty bitch, so she tries to make one girl upset while trying to sleep with another guy to make a third guy jealous. Or, like,
Yeah.
there's the whole situation on how all this started, which is like the backstory behind our main character of Tina, like, and why this whole story happens. The resolution of the film as well, kind of a little stupid.
I mean,
Yeah,
I can't deny that.
yeah,
I'm just saying, like, overall,
like, but when it comes to the technicality of the film, like, there weren't an excessive amount of stupid jump scares. There wasn't like poorly made shot construction when it came to the cinematography. Like, this is an okay background movie, I guess.
yeah, it's a perfectly serviceable movie.
I'd throw this on in a Halloween movie, like in a Halloween party.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to put it. Like, it exists.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it.
Let's see. Do you have anything else you want to say? Do we want to move on?
It's a little short, but like that's just kind of what we're dealing with.
Let's see. I'm gonna quickly try to shuffle through some of these set photos I see here, and see if anything comes to mind. Oh, there's one thing that I did like. There's a couple of scenes that they set up that are really freaking cool. Like, I like towards the end of the movie where Jason like jumps through the window and you see like the dark room and then like the balloons and all the bright colors just kind of like spreading away from him because it's like his aura or presence is overwhelming, even though it's just how wind works.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably one of my favorite images in this movie.
There's some good setup in it. Like I can't deny that.
One thing that I thought was really silly, gas can that somehow had a surplus of gas because psycho telekinetics.
Yeah, I mean, is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, there was the plot line for one character, the lose your glasses and put your hair up and then you're pretty plot line. But everyone dies in this movie.
Yeah. Dude, literally everyone dies in this movie.
So, yeah, I guess that's it. That's all we want to talk about when it comes to Jason Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. And that's why I want, like, that's part of the reason why I'm kind of disappointed with myself. I'm like, damn it, I should have picked proper movie. This would have been so much better if
Well, it's your fault that we aren't doing the one you wanted.
yes, if only I actually bought the movies like suggested. Then I would have made double checked and been like, oh, I was wrong. And I would have announced it was the wrong number rather than the wrong movie. Oh well.
I mean,
The audience still would have been disappointed if they watched the movies to keep up with us, because they would have been completely unprepared.
yeah.
So instead, they're prepared and I'm
next
disappointed.
time you need to do better.
Yep. I should actually do some research on the movies that I suggest for my own show.
Probably.
So I'm going to give you your 10 popcorn kernels. How many are you going to give to part 7?
6.
6.
A part of me kind of wants to get the 0.5, but really there's not enough there to get the 0.5.
Okay. Doing better
Like
than
I
me.
said, serviceable.
Yeah. I'm giving it a 5.
See, 5 would just be like middle of the road to me, and like this has some cool shots in it.
Like, to me, it's just middle of the road, just because writing.
That's fair.
But ultimately, when it comes to like other slasher films, this one's not that bad. It really isn't that bad. Just not quite enough for me.
That's fair.
All right, so let's move on. We're moving on to a movie that, like I said in the very beginning, is my guilty pleasure. It was like a movie that I watched all the time growing up because it's so dumb, but it's so memorable. It's Jason X, which takes place in the year 2455.
Yep.
Yep.
Released
Go ahead.
April 26th, 2002.
This is
With
a 2000s film.
Did you not notice that?
No, I did.
With a budget of 11 million, it made 6 million US opening, 13 million gross US, and 17 worldwide. And thank God, because this movie did not deserve a goddamn a fucking cent. Like, I'm sorry, but what movie are you trying to be? This movie does so many fucking things unnecessarily.
You're not wrong. They're like, let's take a horror staple, turn it into a sci-fi, add a little bit of Star Trek.
Add a little bit of Serenity.
Yeah.
I don't know if Serenity, like Firefly, was out yet or not. I can't remember.
Firefly, let me double check.
Because it feels like it's got aspects of Firefly in it. Add some aliens to it with the grunts.
No, Firefly, the first episode released in 2002.
This came out in 2002.
Yeah, they would have, unless they were being produced at the same time and someone was like, let's do this. It wasn't inspired by.
What studio product? New Line, Crystal Lake. Oh yeah, Crystal Lake Entertainment. That's right. X Productions. All right. Yeah. So still feels like that. With a little bit of Terminator. Some weird like Matrixy Resident Evilness.
They add some alien in here.
I said aliens.
Oh, that's a good point.
It's grunts. So, like I said, aliens. And yeah, like none of it works.
What are you talking about?
I mean,
they've
yeah,
even
none
got
of it works.
They've got futuristic slutty outfits and the teacher likes to have his nipples pinched and for some reason ants work differently on Jason than anyone else. And I don't know. Silly fun, I guess.
I'd want to consider this fun.
I hear ya. I understand. I really do. Like, this really isn't that good. It's not a good movie. It's not. It really isn't. It's bad. But then again, like I said, I take enjoyment from some of the worst movies sometimes, and I don't know why.
I don't know why. You can't enjoy goddamn fucking any of the kaiju movies or Fast and Furious, but you enjoy this?
I never said I didn't enjoy the kaiju movies. I said I loved the monster fights last week, and that was a good part of the movie. I just said this human part sucked. Like everyone else on the internet.
And that's the thing. It's never going to change. Anyways, that was last week.
Yeah.
This week, how do you enjoy this on even like a cathartic level?
I mean, it's kind of interesting to see a badass robot.
That's not what this is about.
Like, I don't watch it for the scares. I don't watch it for like this is a movie that I watch that's like, this is what you should never become. Here's a constant reminder of every reason to not do this.
And I hate it.
And it, like, I still enjoy it. Like, I enjoy watching shit, I guess, and I don't know why. Um, I still have a physical copy of the Super Mario's movie somewhere. So, Super Mario Bros. Movies. The only other physical copy of the movie I own is Big Hero 6. So that tells you something.
Those movies are so far from the spectrum of each other.
They are. They really are. I mean, no, actually, that's not true anymore. I also own the 4K version of Lord of the Rings, extended edition. So those are the 3 physical movies I own. Each one's a different generation too. One's a DVD, one's a Blu-ray, and one's 4K. Next, I'm gonna get one thing in like 5 more years for what's next after 4K, probably 8K, and that's boring, but whatever. They need to brand it with something more clever. But yeah, that's my future, which I think is brighter than the future of Jason in this movie. So
I don't get what the choices made in this were. Like, and this
spectacle,
isn't
CG spectacle. Honestly,
like, and this came out after Jason Goes to Hell. Like, I
it starts with Jason in Hell, kind of, sorta.
Ugh.
You don't even know what to say. Like,
I don't like. It's frustrating.
like,
Like,
it's so shocking to hear you like just flat out like you got nothing, because normally when a movie is bad you have a rant, but like you're so like this is so bad you're like I don't even
well, I
the
can't even
point.
like rant on it because there's not enough there to rant about because it's short. But also, there's nothing like I. It just exists, and it's how many fucking final chapters of this franchise are there? There's Friday the 13th, the final chapter. There's
Jason
God
Goes to
damn it.
Hell, the final Friday, Jason X, which was actually the last movie made, or was it if you count the Freddy versus Jason movies that take place after this, uh
But before it takes place
before in the
before
timeline.
this, yeah. Or is it the remake?
Or, yeah, or is it an alternate universe? Because in this universe, he's frozen in the year 2000. But I don't know what year Freddy vs. Jason takes.
No, he's frozen in the year 2010.
2010?
Yeah. Because cryo is totally a thing we use these days, right?
Yeah, because I got confused on that. Because I remember them saying 2010 in the very beginning. But then towards the end of the movie, because they mentioned it's the year 2455. And then when he's talking to his boss, he's like, she's 450 years old. Like, so that's when I got my timelines confused. Just the 10 years there. But I guess it's
Well,
hyperbole.
because she's also like was X amount of age before.
Yeah, hyperbole.
Why is mine not gonna make more sense than that?
Yours makes more sense. It really does. I can't give you that though. This is my show. I have to make. But yeah, like seriously, the only part of this movie that I can say that I enjoyed would maybe be when what's her name? KM goes Laura Croft on him. It's probably the best part of this film for me.
Was it?
It wasn't even a good part of the film because it's really dumb in how they do it, like the speed ramping effects and the really bad writing. But it was okay. I still love my favorite thing ultimately is how he goes from being a husk of a person to just being fucking ripped. Just freaking strongest man alive. He's become the boulder or the mountain, I should say, from Game of Thrones. Just oh,
Yeah, kinda.
I don't know what to say. I need a back and forth here, Dev, but you're not giving me a
I don't
back.
know what to add because this movie just is not great.
You're just.
Like,
Did you like his new machete design?
I mean, that's probably the coolest thing he's got going for him. It reminds me of my Wraith knife that I have in Dead by Daylight.
All right. A better game where you can play a better version of Jason. No, there's no Jason in the game, is there?
Kind of Trapper.
Okay. I mean,
Like,
there's always Michael Myers,
true.
which is probably, if I ever get back into the game, the character I would play.
That's fair. He's worth it. I have fun with him when I play him.
But yeah.
But, I'm a Wraith.
Yeah, you and your
through and
bell.
through. Apparently, he's even more OP right now, so I need to play him.
Ooh,
Uh,
is there like a perk called "For Whom the Bell Tolls" for him or something?
there maybe. I don't know. That'd be a good one though. I mean, you've seen me play him. I am merciless, and it's great.
You have fun.
Dude, I do. I have so much fun playing him.
Unlike in this movie, there was no fun to be had.
Like, I want to say something about the movie, but like, I genuinely don't know what I can say. And I literally finished it 5 minutes before we started the show, maybe. So it's extremely fresh in the mind, but like, it's just a nothing burger. Like, at least the last one was serviceable.
Hmm.
This is one that, like, if I'm we said that we could put that on the background of a party. This one you can't put on the background of a party because people are going to go like, the fuck is this?
Yeah, they're gonna sit there going like, "What the fuck is going on? Yeah.
What is this movie? Who put this on?
You're not entirely wrong."
Are you talking from experience?
No, not at all.
Okay. You haven't made that attempt yet?
No, usually the movie that I break out at like a horror party would be something ridiculous, like Thanksgiving or Rubber.
Both of them, man. Why? Why are you like this?
Other people take out like Blair Witch Project, and I'm like, that's overrated. People see this 100 million times.
Yeah, but then you bring out the ones that are just bad.
Yeah.
At least you can get invested in Blair Witch.
Yeah. Everyone's just like, I need something to calm down after Blair Witch. And I'm like, here's a movie about a tire that has sentience and kills people. Here's a movie about a werewolf that's a clown, so he's a were-clown. And he makes other people into were-clowns. And I'm not even joking. That's a real movie I've seen.
We're not watching that.
No, I'm not gonna do that. It's
Again,
not good.
The 3 movies you've recently mentioned, we are not doing any of those.
Those are
I
not
will veto
gonna be.
those.
No.
I will veto those on the spot.
No, yeah. If we get to that, we've been doing this a long time.
That or charity events has happened.
Either that, or we're like on a host on somebody's other on someone other show, and it's like, yeah, hi, show name insert here.
Yeah, or a guest wants to bring a couple movies, then I'll allow it. If it's a guest, I'll allow it. If it's no.
No.
I know it's not my show, but as like
I'll do
executive
the show
producer,
alone.
I can't. Go for it.
I've
Why
done
don't you do the YouTube specials for it?
Okay, yeah.
A critical review.
And then I go scene by scene and I dissect everything. Why the ants look interesting. Why the demons are stupid. How the holograms don't make sense.
No, they don't. By the way, speaking of bring up the last movie, I do appreciate that some of my favorite kills from Friday the 13th game are in there.
Like the split in half one, or
the window, the sleeping bag.
Okay, I do like the sleeping bag smack. That's pretty fun.
It's better in the game because you do it a couple times, but still good. The spear gets quite a bit of use.
Oh fuck! I died laughing in the part 7 when he walks up and revs the freaking like the tree cutting chainsaw. I was like, no. Yeah, it's just yeah.
Silence.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, I must have escaped. That's good. That makes everyone wonder, can Jason teleport?
I mean, if the game is canon, yes. I mean, he's got to, right? To move like he does, he has to teleport. Only way it works.
Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to watch 8. He only works if he can teleport. The only way that movie works.
I don't disagree with that, because I mean, that's the only way he seems to operate. Like, the only way Jason can do anything, like in this movie, like put himself in the perfect positions to end up where he is, like he maybe could have walked there, but like at the same time, like, but how did he walk that fast to there? Because like he doesn't walk fast. We see him. He walks like at a leisure.
He
taking his
moves
time.
a mile a minute. He's blazing fast. 60 miles an hour. No, it's ridiculous. But I am curious, because we were going to talk about it a little bit. Can you tell me about your B to B ratio in this movie, or does that have to be a spoiler thing?
No, we can go over the B to B ratio. So this movie, and I've got to do some math, some real fucking math.
Do KM's boobs count because they kind of fall off?
I am counting those.
Okay.
So this movie has, I'm going to start with the smaller number, the boobs. 3.
Okay. One of them is egregious because it's like, I mean, it's literally the one scene in the movie that caught my attention. They're like, we don't have enough boobs in this movie, so let's have her sit up in bed and put on a shirt. And it's like, we don't need it, but boobs.
Oh yeah, that was one. Sorry, 4. My bad. There are 4. Listen, I was watching it like while I was eating, so I was distracted by some Chipotle.
When I see,
I probably legitimately looked down to take a bite when that happened. Then
I mean,
I don't remember them.
I don't blame you. I've done that too. I've literally done that too in movies. So look at this. All right, what did I miss? Nothing important. Oh, Martian Manhunter. Okay.
True. You did miss Martian Manhunter. All right.
Oh, they have spots. Oh, okay.
They do, fucker. They do. All right. So that means it's more like this. All right. It's a nice even number.
Oh, nice.
And a body count of, and we had to look this up.
But it is confirmed.
It is confirmed by a writer of this movie. After adding up the murders and the things Jason caused, his body count in this movie is at 19,748, bringing the ratio astronomically the opposite direction any of these movies have been. Like, sometimes they might get close to like a 1-to-1. This one, close to a 5,000 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
4,937 to 1.
There's a body, the boob counts of 9,400, 700 to 1, and this movie's that bad?
4,000.
Sorry, my bad. 4,900.
937 to 1. That is astronomically on the other end of the spectrum. And if this was a graph, I would have, like, every other movie, right, we've had on this list. That thing would have to be all the way out in fucking, like, Mars.
Yeah, the way I'm thinking about it now, if we actually want the chart to be informative, it'd have to be like one of those graphs where you put all the dots in it and then you just draw a line that gets through the most of them. And it's like,
yeah,
this is our curve for best movie ratio. And
It's
then
gonna have to be like one line is the ratio, one line is the rating we give a movie.
yeah. I know exactly, like I can picture the graph in my head. I just can't explain what
Yeah.
it's called.
No, I know exactly. We'd have to call it the B to B versus radi. It's a plot dot, right? Or a point.
Um let's see. I'm trying to average uh
While he looks this up,
yeah.
word from our sponsors.
Yeah, if only we had
Crystal Lake
sponsors.
Productions. Not really Crystal Lake Productions, but like Crystal Lake Medicine. Looking for a time away? Well, Crystal Lake Medicine now has a day spa over at Camp Crystal Lake. Please, call ahead of time. The lines might be busy.
The only thing, I guess it's called a scatter chart.
That would make sense.
Yeah, because it's literally you just put you'd have one side being boobs and you have one other side being bodies.
No,
And then you
because that's not going to give us a rating. We need the B to B ratio number and the rating we give it. And somewhere in there, the ratio and like a perfect rating exists.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway.
Roughly.
Yeah. You get the idea.
There's a spectrum in which your ratio could, you could have like what in a different movie is a perfect. You have the same ratio, and maybe you could end up on the opposite end of the spectrum of rating wise. So,
I'm trying to think of other movies like Curse of La Llorona. Does that have any boob? I don't think so.
no, but it also has like two bodies.
Yeah. I mean, you can't divide by 0, so that's just by default going to be a bad movie in a horror genre. So,
well, not even just that. You don't need to have boobs to have a good movie like The Conjuring. But like those, I guess a good slasher.
Yeah,
we got to preface it. This is the slasher chart. The B to B ratio versus rating is what it is.
What if? Hang on. I just thought of movies that we're gonna have to do. I'm thinking of October.
Okay, move on for right now. Jason X, you're just not that good, and I just genuinely don't quite get what you were going for. Like, I get that the meme of Fast and Furious is that Fast and Furious' space is coming. And it would be funny that if the 10th Fast and Furious actually has space, because then, like, suddenly, like, Jason goes to space makes sense to me. I'm like, I guess every franchise eventually gets there. In 10 movies. Unfortunately, Jason, you just didn't quite cut out enough space for yourself.
Do you think Friday the 13th or like Fast and Furious 10 will be them going to space?
It would be hilarious, and I'm all in. I'm 100% in if Fast and Furious goes to space.
I probably honestly would be too. They would have gone full circle, and I'd be like, "I'm back in. Let's go."
See, Steven, I've heard the theory as to why people like the Fast and Furious movies, and I completely understand why they get the stupid shit. Because you didn't mind the first 3. You were hard on Too Fast, Too Furious, and that's understandable. It's arguably the worst of the series. But I think you enjoyed Tokyo Drift enough, and you understood a little bit of the heart of the first one. The thing that that franchise does is it builds a trust.
Oh yeah, I talked about this.
This was you? Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I can never remember where I hear something. My brain is
If
goop.
it's informative from movies, just assume it's from me. Remember?
No, because I watch a lot of other shit, all right? It could have been from one of the many podcasts. I was like, listen, Kind of Funny talks about Fast and Furious a lot, okay? They have a full Fast and Furious in review that I've watched through, and it's great. But like, it seriously, it just comes down to trust in the audience has in the movies that like, hey, they've done this stupid thing, so now we can do a stupider thing. Same thing with Mission Impossible. Like, Tom Cruise does a stupid stunt that he shouldn't be doing, especially at his age. But guess what? He does it. And next time we see him do this next stupidest thing, we're like, are you insane? Oh, but you did it. Okay, cool. Like, it's just what we do. We trust in something, we see it done, and then we're like, all right, well, let's see what you do next. So, unfortunately, though, Jason just doesn't have that. I mean, a logical step is to take him to space eventually, but the problem is that at that point, the franchise was petering off and dying.
Do we want to just go to popcorn kernels and then hit spoilers?
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
popcorn kernels.
All right. So for me, don't get me wrong, I do still enjoy this movie in my own like dirty pleasure. Like I said, it's a guilty pleasure movie. Doesn't mean it's a good movie. So I'm gonna give this one a 3.5.
That's fair, I guess. I'm giving it a 2.
Okay. That's fair, I get.
Just put it at a 3 overall.
The writers were like, let's try something different. It failed miserably. Don't try something different when it comes to slashers.
I just think slashers are done at this point, man.
Yeah,
like,
I wouldn't say there's been a good slasher in the last couple of years.
all right, slasher was the Halloween that came out.
Let's see. If I type modern slashers into Google, the first thing that comes up is a movie that... Ooh, what's this? Huh. Smiley Face Killers on Amazon Prime. Came out last year. That's the first thing that pops up. Huh. October movie.
Let's not.
But when I think of other like actual slasher films that I've seen that kind of makes sense, it maybe be like the Don't Breathe, because that's guy chasing person around and they have to be silent and quiet and whatnot. I mean, Child's Play is a slasher film, but that wasn't good. Midsummer.
All right, that was better than this was, you little shit.
Yeah, it was better than this, yes. Midsummer is a slasher, apparently. I just haven't seen it yet, so I wouldn't know. And I hear it's good. Huh, we'll just have to spend a month watching slasher films, and then we'll have to spend a month watching psychological thrillers. Then we'll have to spend a month watching, I don't know, the list can go on. We can do a gay horror, which, believe it or not, Freddy Krueger is an icon for homophobic horror. Even though he's more of a sociopathic pedophile. But, whatever. Either way.
You're just trying to create my own hell, aren't you?
Heaven, hell. Final critical casual.
God damn it. This is fucking...
Let's get ready to spoil!
There's nothing to spoil. These movies suck.
Yeah,
This
like,
movie
honestly,
sucked.
yeah. Rapid fire through these. 7 was girl kills her dad. She resurrects Jason because she's guilty about killing her dad. She then actually resurrects her dad to then kill Jason. End of movie.
Yes.
Lots of people die in between.
Everyone but 2 die.
Yeah. And they get to be like, oh, we're best friends, even though, all of our best friends just and my
Well,
parents.
yeah, she didn't have any best friends.
And they weren't his friends either. He was just there for his cousin, who was dead. He never made it to his own party.
Yeah.
What a shame. Like, that's such a shitty setup. Like, if you really think about a setup for a film, worst one. They're just like, we need to make a Jason movie. Here we go. Perfect. But then the other reason why the main reason why the ending bugs me is it implies that just like Clear Lake, Camp Clear Lake or whatever, Crystal Lake, you can either hide a body in there because they never searched the lake, or it has the ability to change water into bodies. One of the two.
I don't want to go into the figuring that out portion of this podcast.
Okay. And then with Jason X here, it starts in the year 2010. They get frozen after cryo chamber freezes and like freezes them into the building. And apparently that's the end of anybody ever hearing about this, because no one in the military knows about this, even though they explain that the military are the ones, or the government are the ones who are trying to get Jason in the first place. So the government doesn't care anymore. He's gone. Whatever. As long as he doesn't show up, no one cares. So he doesn't show up. The world dies. It's 450 years in the future, essentially. And he's free on a ship. So now we're playing Aliens, but it's Friday the 13th.
It was bad.
And then they make stupid references. There's like holodecks, and they talk about beaming up, even though they clearly don't know pop culture references.
Well, she says it. And they go, beam you out?
Yeah. And there's the professor who likes having his nipples pinched. I'm gonna keep bringing that up. I was literally sitting there watching that scene, and then I messaged you like, "Hey, you still want to do the watch along thing?" Because I was like, I could imagine watching this with Dev just to hear your, why am I watching this?
I mean, I'm not going to judge anyone on their kinks, but, like, I also don't get just blatantly making fun. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's blatantly making fun of. I don't know. I don't know where that falls into that gray area, man.
I think this one was them blatantly making fun of it. Like, they were just trying to make a funny moment to reduce tension in the film. Or fill in the runtime. One of those two. There's that. Like I said, my favorite thing is the fact that they that KM goes all super boss and destroys Jason the first time around, only for him to then get an upgrade, which is the part that makes the least amount of sense. But whatever.
Makes no sense.
Yeah. They're in space. Year 2455. Anything can happen. So, yeah, it's literally like there's nothing to spoil. It's just slasher movies with blood.
It's a bad slasher movie.
Yeah. It came out in the year 2000. Right. And it definitely has that 2000s vibe. Like, it has that look. It has the music feel. The cinematography definitely is just like I'm watching a 2000s film.
It feels like I'm watching a 2000s sci-fi movie. Like on the Sci-Fi Channel.
That's probably where this aired. So, yeah. That's that. I do have to say, though, if I had to choose between Mecha Jason and Zombie Jason from the 7th movie, I'd probably stick to Mecha Jason myself. But then again, I'm biased. Zombie Jason at least makes sense in the continuity because they keep destroying him and like burning him and wrecking him, but he keeps coming back to life. But then once you get to this movie, it talks about how he has tissue regeneration, like he has a healing factor of his own.
Yeah.
So his body deteriorating doesn't make as much sense anymore. Unless it's all scar tissue, but
Potentially.
yeah. But then he'd be like Deadpool, I think. That's just me. I mean, different universes. Whatever. No one cares. Only me. Yeah, I guess that's it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. This, I don't have much I can add because there's nothing that I can really get angry at the movie for because it's just, I seriously just saw it and my memory's going like, man, what even happened?
What went on in this movie? There was one sex scene, and there was another sex scene. Then Jason sat up, and then there was a third sex scene.
No, there wasn't. That's the thing. There was one. Oh no, there's two. There's two sex scenes. That's it.
Oh, how about the KM and her creator making out, and then their probability of survival going up? Because
It
now
wasn't
she has a reason
inaccurate.
to live.
Wasn't inaccurate, so I'll give it that. That fair?
Sure. I just had sex. Now I need to survive to tell people about it. Just not that it was with a robot.
Well, be careful because you might just end up with head at the end because she was just a head. Anyways,
But doesn't it say
I-
something about our main character who, even though she knows it's an android, she went back for the head at the end of the movie?
I mean, do you always go back for head?
I've got 1 minute before the ship explodes. Plenty of time for head.
I'm not proud of that one. I'm not gonna lie.
It's fine. It's fine.
Anyways, no, that was
It was there. I don't
that
blame
is,
you.
but that is this movie because it is lines like that, like this sucks as she gets sucked out of the like
Great.
hole in the air
Mhm.
lock. The uh screwed. He's screwed. Like, what does that tell to your superior officer that
What about
he's screwed?
the
He's dead.
what about the bad guy, Brodinski or whatever his name was? Or not the bad guy, the main general sergeant dude being like, "It's gonna take more than this to get me." Second stab. Oh, that might be enough.
That'll do it. It's gonna take more than a hole in the ribs to kill me. Shing. Yeah, that might do it.
It's
At least he's honest.
like it's just so fucking. That's part of the reason why I love this movie is the one-liners are so fucking.
Hey, that
dumb.
one-liner's great. That is a fun one-liner. I can't deny that. All right, that one's stupid. The rest of them are just like again, the dude getting landed on the drill screw thing and the
then
person being like,
spitting as he's going down.
and then he's screwed. What does that relay? How does that relay any information to your lieutenant? He's asking you, is he injured? And you're like, he's screwed. Like, what does that mean to the lieutenant?
I mean, obviously he's dead. That's all he needs to know. It's a pun for us and everything we need for the lieutenant.
But is it though? He's screwed is not enough information.
No, he could still be alive. Fight for him. He's dead, Sarge. That you should have said that to begin with. There we go. All right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Got the whole argument out of the way. Okay.
So yeah.
Do we want to move on to news?
Yeah, sure. Let's move on to news.
Right. Hit the news button, please, good sir. Okay, so wrapping things up fairly quickly here. I've only got 3 pieces of news that I want to talk about today.
Cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, technically 4 if we talk about next week, but whatever.
I might have one, depending if it's covered in yours.
It might be. The first thing I'm talking about is, you know how we like to talk about politics.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you and me, we'll talk about it from time to time. Talk about how people deserve proper rights and the freedom to vote and whatnot. Well, there is a movie being created by Will Smith called Emancipation, which is about a slave and his free. I'm assuming here. Don't quote me on this 100% because, like I said, I don't look into movies. But it's about a slave becoming emancipated, and thus becoming free as his own person. What they've decided to do for this movie is Will Smith and the whole entire production company, has decided to pull out of filming in Georgia because Georgia has put in stricter voting right laws. So they're like, "Fuck you, we're not gonna endorse this." So they left.
See, my thing about this stuff, okay, is that the problem is with America, and I just saw another one of those things of being like, hey, other countries like UK and Canada teach that, like, hey, America is just right versus center right when it comes to politics. So no matter what, corporations are going to win in this scenario. They could pull out and save face and like side with the liberals, but still both sides are going to be like, well, yeah, of course you can get these tax cuts and stuff like that. So no matter what they win, no matter what Coke wins, no matter what the MLB wins, no matter what production companies that work in Georgia are going to win, because they are destined to be, winning in this society that we have set up. So like, it's a way to like gain brownie points for a company.
Yeah. The quote here is, "At this moment in time, the nation is coming to terms in its history and is attempting to eliminate vestiges of institutional racism to achieve true racial justice," said Smith and Fava. I can't remember. Antonio Fava is the director. I'm saying his name wrong, but whatever. They continued saying, "We cannot in good conscience provide economic support to a government that enacts regressive voting laws that are designed to restrict voter access." The new laws in Georgia's voting is reminiscent of voting implemented impediments that were passed at the end of the Reconstruction to prevent many Americans from voting. Regrettably, we feel compelled to move our film production work from Georgia to another. Oh, yeah. I mean, and I was kind of talking about that too. As you said, ultimately, what happens behind the scenes with who they do it with, it's going to end the same for the production company. You were correct there. I can't remember what it's called, the proper term for the tax cut that they get. The one that keeps coming to mind is a stipend, but that's not the correct term. But it's essentially certain states, California, New York, Florida, each one of those states are ones that have Texas have high production payback. If you make movies and contents in their state, you get high tax rewrites back off. And that's stuff that a lot of people don't talk about when they're reporting their earnings and stuff and how much they pay for films. They'll be like, "Yeah, we paid $3 million to make this movie," and then they made it in Texas, and then they get about $500,000 to $750,000 back for making it in Texas. So it's like, yeah, we spent $3 million, asterisk.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that was the first bit of news there. I just wanted to bring it up because even though it doesn't change much for the production company, it's at least positive for...
Yeah, I will give that. Like, it can be.
I mean, especially because they're making a movie about a runaway slave trying to free himself. So why make it in why make it in a state that is actively that is actively trying to repress people of color? There we go. Words are hard. So yeah, that's the first bit of news. Second bit of news here. This one I'm kind of slightly interested in. Shazam. Shazam has a sequel. It's called Shazam: Fury of the Gods, and they're
Yeah.
adding in Lucy Liu as the villain Calypso for this movie.
So it's gonna have two villains.
Apparently, yeah, it says here on /film.com, Shazam sequel Shazam: Fury of the Gods has found another villain. Lucy Liu is joining the cast as Calypso, sister of Hespera. And yeah. Yeah. And there's more here. There's more to talk about, honestly. They go into the breakdown of like what Shazam is, what all the stuff stands for, and talking about basics of the pre-production stuff. But yeah, I brought this up because Lucy Liu, actually. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time when it comes to movies that we watch.
That's true. We haven't seen a lot of movies, honestly, since we did with her since would have been Charlie's Angels, right?
Pretty sure, yeah. Let me double check real fast movies that we've done. I don't think we've done anything of hers other than the 2000s Charlie Angel and the 2003. But it caught my attention because it was interesting to see her getting back into action films, but modern, like superhero action films too. See other things that she's worked on recently. There's a movie called Stage Mother. She's been in a good handful of TV shows. What's this? Called Future World. Plays a character called Queen. That seems interesting. It's never mind. It has a score of 3.2 on IMDb, which means it's bad. You know what? I'll probably like it since I like bad movies. Yeah,
I hate it here.
I brought up that because, Shazam, Lucy Liu. It seems like it's an interesting choice. A mixture of comedy, a little bit of action. If they stick with the director that they had, they'll probably throw in some sci-fi as well, or some horror as well. So I feel like she'll fit in pretty good. I don't know the character Calypso at all. That's more of a your department thing, but I'm not going to ask you to explain
Greek
it.
gods, kind of stuff.
Is she one of the ones that give Shazam his power? Or a relative of one of the ones that give him his power? And thus will strip it away from him?
Again, Greek Parthenon in the universe of. In that universe, it's complicated. I don't know how else to put it. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, I guess. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure, honestly.
All right. Well, last bit of news that I have prepped. Moving on from here. We like live action anime adaptations. They always come out perfectly. Every time. Well, it's been announced that Netflix is planning to create a Gundam live action film.
I saw this, and I don't want it, Steven.
I am partially interested.
I'm interested because we're gonna review it.
Yeah, we're gonna review it. It's gonna happen. That we know the character development and the character story itself is gonna be awful, but at least we're gonna get giant robots fighting each other. So it's a kaiju film, but it's not. Yeah, and I found this article because it's talking about the director Jordan Voight Roberts. He's going to be the one directing the film, and I don't know anything about him at all, except that he apparently is super excited to be directing the film. Which, I mean, anyone who's directing a big movie film, a big budget film, is usually super excited about it because it gives them a future in Hollywood. It doesn't really matter if it's good or bad or not.
Chance to make a check.
Exactly.
Got the check.
So, Jordan Voight Roberts has Vought, depending on who you talk to, Voight Vought. He's made movies like Metal Gear Solid, which has been announced, but hasn't come out yet. He made Kong Skull Island. He has worked on a good handful of TV shows, but his only real movie that he's done before this is The King of Summers and Kong Skull Island. So, and now he's doing a Metal Gear Solid movie as well as Gundam here. So, do you think, knowing that he's done at least Kong Skull Island, that he can
He's not bad at these kind of movies.
Yeah.
I will say that. And he's willing to he made fun of some of the airs in Kong Skull Island with the Screen Rants podcast and stuff. I believe that was with them. He's willing to admit when certain things aren't right because he made fun of the fact that there are too many characters in Kong Skull Island.
Mm-hmm.
So even if he doesn't do it perfect, he's willing to point out the stuff that he's yeah, I could have done this better. And also, I feel like he kind of gets what fans are probably looking for with movies that he's been making.
Yeah,
because people are really excited to see his Metal Gear Solid movie. So, I mean, if it's the guy doing the Metal Gear Solid movies, I'm down. Let's do it. Let's see it. I guess
mean, he's not just looking at his filmography, literally. I'm have to pull it back up here really fast. Sorry. As a director, he has done mostly TV shows, but his debut film was an independent film. Damn it, where'd it go? His debut movie was the King of Summer. That was his debut major movie that he made, and it was released as an indie film. And then the very next thing that people picked him up for, other than TV shows, was Kong Skull Island.
yeah,
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and Kong Skull Island is arguably still one of my favorites of the MonsterVerse so far.
People say before Kong versus Godzilla or Godzilla versus Kong, people would argue between King of the Monsters and Skull Island, which one was better. So,
and I probably would land more on Skull Island's side due to the fact that despite the giant monster fights being fantastic in Godzilla, weirdly enough, the characters in Skull Island do bring an element. You got John C. Reilly being John C. Reilly, okay?
mm-hmm.
The dude's funny, and he's making a lot of jokes. He's great. You got freaking Samuel L. Jackson thinking he could take on Kong.
Talking about he's got this.
Come on. Also, has one of the best moments of someone has one of my favorite quote unquote hero moments of a character knowing they're gonna die and doing a thing and the movie just faking you out. It got me. We talked about that. That moment got me. So again, interested to see what he'll do with Gundams.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize he was attached to it, so you know what? Never mind. I'm more interested in seeing this than I was before.
Okay. All right. That's good. I like hearing that you're happy about or interested in the movie.
I have a bit of news.
Hit me with it.
Before we do it, are you caught up on Winter Soldier?
Yes, I've seen all the episodes.
Okay. So there's some controversy, and I'm going to do
all this
for Falcon Winter Soldier. Just a minor thing that happens.
I'm going to find the Twitter thread for it. I know what you're talking about.
Sweet. Because I was going to tweet about it earlier. Because today was my, I popped off a little bit on Twitter a couple times today. Alrighty, I was like...
You popped off on a couple things these past few days, but I don't blame you.
I mean, there's stuff that needs to be talked about, alright? I'm going to call that shit out. You, as an officer, you should know the difference between your taser and your gun. I don't know. It's just something that should be done in the training,
That makes sense to me.
Something that should be simply just fucking known when you're on that. Anyways, different topic. So let me find it here because I don't actually have the thread on me. I had it, but I've lost it. Oh no, where'd it go? Damn it, I've lost it. Where is it? I literally had it just a little bit ago.
Yeah, I just saw it, and now I can't find it.
Well, see, I found it because T'Challa was trending, and that's how I knew that was gonna be what I talked about. And I might have accidentally exited out of that thread that I had it on. Damn it. Well, pretty much, I'll quickly sum it up. Someone on Twitter was complaining that the Wakandans built in a failsafe to disarm, literally, Bucky, in a fight. That they put a failsafe in his mechanical arm. And that is a huge breach of trust in for Bucky. Like, his trust in them. He trusted them. Well, there are so many ways to approach this argument.
Yeah, are you going to approach it as an entitled white man?
Well, no. I'm like, there's that side, and then there's legitimately every other way you could approach it. Because, like, the Wakandans are not the most trusting of the outside people, okay? Understandably so. You've got arguably the most important resource on the planet, and the world's finding out that you got it. And then the 5 years happen, and then the world's coming back, and like people probably want to get their hands on vibranium. Just saying.
Okay.
I
found the tweet that started it all.
You want to send it to me?
I just pulled it up here. Sorry. It's from a man who calls himself Stephen Ford.
Damn you! I've got to like actually full screen this to read it.
Sorry.
All right. Hold on, let me get it over here. I'm sorry, I have it on a different tab.
No, I don't know.
Okay, but the Wakandans putting in a built-in weakness in Bucky's arm is like really messed up. It shows they never fully trusted him. He spent years trying to finally reclaim his autonomy, not only to be undermined in an instant by those that helped. It's just sad. The dude was fucking brainwashed by Nazi scientists and then used to essentially influence the world by assassinations and killings to get things to where they needed to be for Hydra. You know, because hail Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
And then, after that, after Hydra falls, a guy called Zemo decides to use that Bucky's out there as a chance to get back at the heroes for what happened with Sokovia and all that, which leads to T'Chaka dying. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Bucky gets blamed for a bit for it. They realize it's not. T'Challa's like, hey, I feel sorry for what happened, so I'm going to help him. They helped him. He got past the thing. But you also can't 100% be 100% sure. And also, what if something does happen where they capture him again? Like,
yeah, I hear that.
There are so many variables.
The way I've been thinking about it, like, they saw him after the Civil War as a person who has been abused and neglected and mistreated, and they tried to help him via the kindness of their hearts. They had no responsibility to help them other than the fact that they hunted him down. But because they felt guilty about it, they decided to help him.
T'Challa felt guilty, but he's like, I will do what I can to help.
Yeah, so
I don't want to continue the cycle of revenge.
And then he pays them back for helping him by breaking out Zemo, the man who killed T'Challa.
Technically, Zemo breaks out himself,
but whatever. Yes. Yeah, technically.
I mean, let's be real, though. Zemo would have broken out if he knew there was other super soldiers the way he is.
So, you're not entirely wrong. So the way I see it from this point here is that, like, he deserved this. Like, this is a reminder that he is, like, yes, he is super powerful, but without them, he was nothing. And, like, he was
not just that.
Like, without them, he'd be a mess still. He is a mess, but he'd be even worse. So,
and the thing is, like, he's still not fully healed from what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's healed in the sense that, like the code words and stuff don't work.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not healed in the sense that, like, he's not past the trauma he's been through.
Yeah, he, like, now instead of being
he's
activated...
still got PTSD.
Yeah, he just flashes
he's always
gonna
have
PTSD.
That.
And
then the other thing, too, is... The other argument, too, that I've seen, and I'm like, that's 100% correct. Why didn't Bucky think that arm could come off?
He'd never thought about it.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, at some point I was like, why wouldn't they have the ability to take it off? Like, what if he wanted just a regular prosthetic for when he's like out and about to like kind of hide better? Stuff like that. Like, I'm like, yeah, no, that actually makes sense that the arm would be able to come off. How else would you like change it out if you needed, right? Let's say like, I don't know, someone gets a high powered Iron Man like ray beam and dissolves it. I know it's vibranium, so it won't really dissolve like that, but still,
Yeah, I mean, like,
I don't know.
the way I think about it too is another comparison would be, um, you know, Spider-Man's story when he doesn't feel responsible for Iron Man is in the history and legacy of that. Very similar.
Also, I see a lot of people just complaining they don't like the show, and I'm like,
They're
I don't
dumb.
know what you're getting at here. Like, they're like, oh, the characters aren't written like how they would have been in the other in
Yeah,
the
I
movies and
did
stuff.
see
I'm
that
like,
recently. I saw someone complaining that like they thought that the show was written by interns. I was like, "What are you talking about?"
like, I'm genuinely, and like I saw someone like I'm not gonna out them, but because like they're much bigger than us, so like whatever. Um, but they brought up like, did Falcon and Winter Soldier have a missing plot line with a pandemic? Like theorizing that there's a missing plot line that hit too close to home after everything. And I'm kind of sitting there like, no.
Did you forget the
What?
blip?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm like, the blip happened. Excuse me? What? Huh?
Ugh.
What are you referring to here? Like, I don't see where this missing plot hole fits in.
Though I am kind of disappointed because, like, like, remember when I said during Homecoming how I was mad that they decided to call the second snap the blip because, and I was like, you know what, it's fine because it's just a bunch of kids. That's just like the colloquialized term. No, that's the term that the whole Earth has decided to call the second snap. They've all decided to call it
What
the
else
blip.
do you call that?
I
Everyone
don't
appearing
know.
at the same time?
Like something like we called World War
within
One the
seconds.
Great War. Like,
Yeah, well, this happened in seconds, Steven, and everyone reappeared in a blip.
a blip of an instant. Like, historians would come up with a better term for it. And I know colloquially it would just stick. That's just how it works. But God, I feel like someone in the Avengers area would be like, the blip, you mean this? Like, it'd be a throwaway line, but I'd be happy.
What else are you gonna call it?
I don't know. The
Because they didn't call the first one the snap, because they didn't know except for the Avengers. Can't remember what the first term was.
They kind of just summed the whole thing up as the blip, I think, at this point. But
what was the snap called in Infinity War? So that was known as the blip. So I mean, you might be right that it's entirely known as the blip.
because people were there, then they weren't, and then they were there again.
Also known as the decimation. That's what it was called. The original,
Yes.
like the first snap was the decimation, and then it was the blip.
Mm-hmm.
And colloquially known as the snap.
I prefer the decimation. But,
Well, that's that era in the 5 years. The blip is essentially coming back in a instant,
mm-hmm.
and the ramifications of that. And I do like the last two shows, both exploring that and also exploring characters in ways that, like, because I saw someone point it out, and you're gonna hate me for it, but they're setting up mutants in the best way possible. Okay, hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
That essentially the distrust of people with power
Mm-hmm.
and with powers which is the best way to not set up the X-Men while setting up the X-Men.
Mhm.
You know?
No, yeah.
People who inherently have power.
Mhm.
Like, someone pointed that out, and my brain went, oh shit, you're right, 100%. This is how you set up the X-Men.
No, yeah.
You set up the X-Men by not worrying about the X-Men. You set up the universe to be ready for the X-Men. And my brain went, holy shit, yeah, again, these guys are brilliant, because, like, yeah, 100%. That is partially probably why they're doing this with WandaVision and this.
Yeah, like remember, like, I complained to you. I had a tiny rant about how I was like, no, you don't just throw in these things because that's how you get the shitty movies. Yes, they're taking their time. They're slowly developing. They're showing with WandaVision, Wanda's powers. They're showing Wyatt Russell or John Walker and the ramifications of him, as well as the Flag Smashers. And like next series is Loki. Everybody knows Loki can't be trusted. So like,
well, it's building up this setup. It's setting up a perfect introduction to the X-Men without it being reliant on saying mutants and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like, everyone's like, oh, this is the perfect time to introduce the mutants.
No.
And I'm like, no, don't just throw them in to throw them in. Like, we got to have a reason to have the mutants show up.
Mhm.
But like, someone pointed out that like our is not trusted currently because of how it's happened. And also, like, despite the heroes saving the day at the end of Endgame, they still failed at the Battle of Wakanda.
Mhm.
So there's still a lot to it. That
Tony Stark's
the
not
world needs
wrong
to-
when they're called the Avengers, not the Pre-Vengers. Like they never save the day from getting bad in the beginning. So there's always ramifications.
Yes. And I mean, like, and that makes sense. Like, they have to be, like, for the events that happen to them, it is really tough to be preventative.
Mm.
You could be as preventive as you want, but you're not going to stop goddamn Galactus from showing up.
I don't know, if you have a suit of armor all around the world, it might just defeat Galactus.
There are no strings on me. God, I wish Ultron could come back.
You just might.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, think about it. White Vision has a part of Ultron in him. Just now, the only thing that he doesn't have is the Mind Stone.
Yeah, because he's the original body. You know, we'll find out. We'll find out. But yeah, no, I don't get complaining about them having a failsafe in the arm. I don't get complaining about the show because it's exactly what I expected the show to be. Kind of a spy thriller.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like it's essentially what I said. It's Mission Impossible, but MCU.
I liked this. I genuinely like this, especially the fact like the story writing for the last episode. Like, sure,
Oh
it
my
was
God.
slower paced. The sequence of events was a little convenient for our main characters, but
That last shot
yes,
is etched into the fabric of my brain now. Because
especially
it is the antithesis of everything I adore.
Mhm.
But it's so good.
It is, especially too because like you think about it, that character who now is looking up at Captain America about to do his deed to him was literally the one who's talking about being the one who's like, I looked up to Captain America growing up.
Yeah.
And how it's twisted and oh man.
Oh my God. It's
It's-
so good.
Yeah.
I hate it, but I hate that how that goes. But at the same time, I hate it because it's so well written
Mhm.
in the sense that like I'm supposed to. And it's so goddamn great. And I love how that got there. And I hate that it's there, but at the same time, like, dude, I can't wait for the next 2 episodes. I can't wait to see how this ends. I saw the trailer for the next 2 episodes, and it's gonna go down, and I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait, dude. It's great. I'm loving this. So I really can't, and I can't wait for Loki. And then we get What If after that. And then we get Black Widow, which, you know what? I'm for. Like, after seeing the last trailer, I'm like, you know what? The last trailer kind of the family trailer that they released, I'm like, you know what?
Mm.
All right, you know, I'm in. Let's go.
That's probably the
I was already
only
in,
trailer
but-
I'll watch for a long time of like a movie before it comes out. But I was like, I'm here, might as well just watch it.
It's
But
not a
yeah, I
bad
liked
trailer.
it. It wasn't bad.
It interests me more than the other trailers have. Not to say that the other trailers were bad, but it's just like, I guess there still hasn't been a lot about it, so we really don't know anything about this movie. But I guess there was a little bit more action in this trailer. I'm like, all right, cool. And we got to see a little bit more Taskmaster, I guess, as well. So that's probably it too. Like being able to see the villain a few more times is kind of nice.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of understand who the villain is and see some of the stuff that they might do. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like Taskmaster's doing some cool things. All right. I don't know, man. We'll see where it goes. We'll see where the MCU goes in the future.
All right. So last bit, next week's movies. So next week, I have no idea how this is gonna go. I have not seen any of these movies, but they were made by the man who taught me to make movies. One of the men who taught me to make movies. So we are watching The Slayer, made in 1982, and then we are watching Wicked Little Things, made in 2006. This was the first and the last movie made by J.S. Cardone, the man who taught my advanced classes in college. So, yeah, we're gonna see where I got some of my education from, and probably realize a lot.
Yeah, probably.
So, there's that. I'm excited just because it's gonna be something different. So,
That's a way of putting it.
exactly. This is
We'll
director.
see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. So, yeah. Hit the wrong button. Yeah. That's it. Thanks for being here. You people are awesome. And Dev, you're kind of cool too sometimes.
Nah,
Depends on the day.
depends on the day.
So, thanks you guys. This is the end of the show now. You can go home.
All right, just wrap it up. Just wrap it up. Let's go. Don't extend this longer than it has to be at this
Like,
point.
comment, subscribe, ring the bell, review,
Do
whatever.
all the things.
Yeah. See you guys next week. Yeah. See you guys next week. Bye.
So long, Alvinus, and to you, and you, goodbye.